History isn't just about dates and boring treaties. It's a collection of events so bizarre that if they were in a movie, you wouldn't believe them. From inflatable armies to bears in uniform, and a plague that made people dance to death. Welcome to Absolute Neural Feed. Today we dive into 10 of the most insane stories the world almost forgot. How do you win a world war without firing a single bullet? The US Army did it with a secret unit of artists and actors. Known as the Ghost Army, this unit used inflatable tanks, giant speakers blasting troop sounds, and fake radio transmissions to trick the Nazis. Their mission was pure deception. They could make a handful of men look like an entire division, luring the enemy away from real Allied positions. By using creativity as a weapon, they saved thousands of lives without ever using real guns. It turns out, you can defeat an empire just by using inflatable tanks and a secret unit of artists. In 1943, the Allies had a problem. They needed to invade Sicily, but the Nazis knew it was coming. To save thousands of lives, British intelligence decided to lie, using a dead man. This was Operation Mincemeat. The plan? Find a corpse, dress him as a British Royal Marine, and slap a briefcase full of top-secret, fake invasion plans to his wrist. They chose Glyndwr Michael, a homeless man who had died from ingesting rat poison. They gave him a new identity, Major William Martin. To make the lie perfect, they filled his pockets with human touches. A picture of a fake fiancée named Pam, love letters, and even a receipt for a new shirt. They dropped his body into the freezing Atlantic off the coast of Spain, hoping the tide would carry him to Nazi-leaning officials. It worked. The documents reached Hitler's desk. He fell for it completely, moving his panzer divisions to Greece and leaving Sicily wide open. When the Allies finally landed in Sicily, the Germans were looking the wrong way. A dead man who never fired a shot had just changed the course of World War II. History isn't just written by the victors. Sometimes it's written by the dead. A bear corporal in real war. Crazy, right? In 1942, Polish soldiers traveling through Iran encountered a young boy with an orphaned Syrian brown bear cub. They traded a few tins of meat for the animal and named him Wojtek. As the cub grew to 500 pounds, he became more than a mascot. He became a member of the 22nd Artillery Supply Company. He learned to salute, wrestled with the men, and even developed a taste for beer and cigarettes. When the unit was ordered to the front lines in Italy, British transport regulations strictly forbade animals. To bypass the rules, the Poles officially enlisted the bear into the army. Private Wojtek was given a serial number, a paybook, and an official rank. During the brutal Battle of Monte Cassino, Wojtek proved his worth as a soldier. Under heavy enemy fire, he was seen standing on his hind legs, carrying massive crates of 100-pound artillery shells from supply trucks to the cannons. His strength and composure under pressure became a symbol of hope for the troops. By the end of the war, Wojtek was promoted to the rank of corporal. His image, carrying an artillery shell, became the official emblem of his company. He eventually retired to the Edinburgh Zoo, where he remained a decorated war hero until his death in 1963. If you're enjoying these forgotten files of history, hit the subscribe button and join the feed. It helps us dig deeper into the archives. Now, back to the madness. Imagine dancing so hard that your heart literally explodes. In 1518, this wasn't a metaphor. It was a death sentence. It started in Strasbourg, when a woman named Frau Trophäa stepped into the street and began to dance fervently. Within a month, 400 people had joined her. They couldn't stop. They didn't eat. They didn't sleep. They just danced until they collapsed from strokes, exhaustion, or heart attacks. To this day, historians are baffled. Was it mass hysteria? Or was it ergot poisoning, a fungus on rye that acts like LSD? We may never know for sure, but the nightmare only stopped after hundreds of people started dancing so hard that their hearts literally exploded. In the 1960s, the CIA had a problem. How do you bug a conversation in a park without being noticed? Their solution cost $20 million, and it had whiskers. This was Project Acoustic Kitty. The plan was as insane as it sounds. Surgeons spent hours transforming a grey and white tabby into a living, breathing surveillance machine. They implanted a microphone in its ear canal, a small radio transmitter at the base of its skull, and wove a thin wire antenna all the way through its long, furry tail. It was the world's first bionic spy. After 5 years of training and $20 million in taxpayer money, equivalent to over $200 million today, it was time for the first field test. A CIA van pulled up to a park in Washington, D.C. Their targets? 2 men sitting on a bench. The agents opened the door, released the cat, and waited for the top-secret audio to roll in. The cat took 5 steps, wandered into the street, and was immediately hit by a taxi. It died instantly. The project was scrapped shortly after, with the CIA concluding that cats are, quote, not naturally inclined to follow instructions. $20 million, 5 years of surgery, ended by a yellow cab. What if the sun disappeared and it started snowing in the middle of July? In 1816, the world lived through a literal nightmare. After Mount Tambora erupted in Indonesia, a massive cloud of ash smothered the atmosphere, blocking the sun globally. In parts of the US and Europe, crops failed and frost covered the ground all summer long. Stuck indoors due to the freezing, gloomy weather, a group of writers in Switzerland challenged each other to write ghost stories. This is exactly how Mary Shelley ended up creating her masterpiece, Frankenstein. The world's most famous monster was born because the sun disappeared and it started snowing in the middle of July. This sounds like a joke, but in 1919, a 25-foot-high wave of syrup killed 21 people in the streets of Boston. A massive storage tank burst, sending over 2 million gallons of molasses surging through the city at 35 miles per hour. It wasn't slow and sweet. It was a deadly wall of sludge that crushed buildings and trapped everyone in its path. The cleanup took months, and for decades, residents claimed that on hot summer days, the neighborhood still smelled like syrup. It remains one of the weirdest industrial disasters in history, where a 25-foot-high wave of syrup killed 21 people. Imagine a war so short, you could bake a frozen pizza, and the whole thing would be over before the timer dings. This is the Anglo-Zanzibar War of 1896, the world record holder for the shortest conflict in human history. Here's what happened. A new sultan took the throne without British approval. The British Empire gave him a simple ultimatum: step down by 9 a.m., or else. The sultan refused, barricading himself in the palace with nearly 3,000 men. At exactly 9:02 a.m., the British fleet opened fire. The palace was no match for heavy naval artillery and quickly turned into a pile of smoking rubble. By 9:40 a.m., the sultan had fled, his flag was shot down, and the firing stopped. Total duration? Just 38 minutes. Most people spend more time waiting for their coffee than it took to fight this entire war. How does an army of 100,000 men lose a battle against an enemy that isn't even there? In 1788, the Austrian army didn't just lose, they accidentally declared war on themselves. This is the story of the Battle of Karánsebess. The Austrian Empire was on the march to fight the Ottomans. One night, a group of elite scouts stumbled upon a group of travelers selling barrels of schnapps. They did what any soldier would do. They bought the lot and got wasted. When a group of infantrymen arrived and demanded a share of the booze, the scouts refused. A brawl broke out. A single shot rang through the air, and in the drunken darkness, someone screamed, "Turks! Turks!" Pure, unadulterated panic ripped through the camp. The Austrian army was a melting pot of different languages, German, Italian, and Slavic. When officers screamed, "Halt! Halt!" to restore order, the confused soldiers thought they were hearing the war cry, "Allah!" and assumed the Ottoman invasion had begun. It was a bloodbath. Artillery crews opened fire on their own infantry. Cavalry units charged their own men. Even the Austrian emperor was knocked off his horse and tumbled into a creek while fleeing for his life. 2 days later, the actual Ottoman army arrived at the scene. They were greeted by a silent battlefield littered with 10,000 dead and wounded Austrians, all killed by their own comrades over a few barrels of schnapps. The Ottomans didn't even have to draw their swords. They just walked in and took the city. It remains the deadliest friendly fire incident in the history of warfare. Did you know that the deadliest civil war in human history wasn't started by a politician, but by a man who thought he was the younger brother of Jesus Christ? After failing his civil service exams multiple times, Hong Xiuquan had a total nervous breakdown. He emerged from his fever dreams, convinced he was sent by God to overthrow the Qing dynasty. He started a movement that spiraled into a 14-year-long bloodbath. The result was catastrophic. Estimates suggest between 20 and 30 million people died. That is more than the total casualties of World War I. It remains one of the most devastating conflicts ever recorded. And it all began because one man couldn't pass his exams and convinced himself he was the younger brother of Jesus Christ. Human history is far weirder than we are taught. Which of these cases shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to check our playlists for more deep dives. Stay curious. Stay neural. See you in the next one.